Shen La reads the inscriptions on the mysterious board and mutters to himself, kill, kill, kill. The commander asks what's the matter, what did the main character read there? Shen La cried out that it was the poem Seven Murders by the author Zhang Xianjun. Shen La doesn't understand how such a thing could be here. The commander of the squad says that this is not particularly important, so let the main character give it to Lao Lin, and he will take the mysterious board with him. It's time for the special forces to make a detour and get acquainted with the terrain. Otred goes further down the dark road. On the radio, colleagues tell the special forces squad that the target has already crossed a border and is moving towards the Saker squad. The commander asks Lazi to climb higher and find a good sniper point. Lazi listens implicitly. At the same time, both the fat man in the photo and the skinny criminal with a scar on his face are going on their way. A fat man with a cigar goes and grumbles at his ward, allegedly that skinny old man deliberately brought his boss to this damn place with a whole bunch of mosquitoes, and all because he's fat. Criminals are pretty tired of walking through the night forest. A scoundrel with a scar on his face apologizes to his boss because this is just a place where there are a lot of mosquitoes. Shen La is already aiming his rifle at the main dealer to hit him right on target. The boss warns the seller that if he does not like the product, then he will not receive a broken penny. But in fact, we know that that fat man is actually not a buyer of prohibited products, but an undercover special forces agent who needs to be protected in case of danger. Therefore, Shen La does not relax. As soon as he arrives at the place where the prohibited substances are stored, the special forces will intercept everyone at once. The commander orders to continue monitoring and not to lose vigilance because the culmination of this operation is about to begin. It turned out that there were only 10 criminals, and judging by their movements, they looked like professional military men. Shen La notices that the criminals have gone to the water. Is the magic Rorschach hidden there? Shen La directs his sight to the water. One of the Saudats says that he knows where the cache is. It is located in a cave on top of the waterfall. The soldier who found the cache of criminals' goods is called Song Chunlei. The main character feels bad next to the ominous water. The commander is interested in the well-being of our hero, but he says that he just has a little headache and there is nothing terrible about it. And so, the special forces are moving up along the waterfall. The special forces have already climbed into a spacious cave with bats. Shen La does not understand what is wrong with him, as if a certain air current hits him furiously right in the head. Shen La is very painful. He does not even guess why this is happening and what kind of terrible place it is that affects him so much. Suddenly, the pain of the protagonist subsided and he discovered a new ability in himself, namely, to see well in a dark cave without a night vision device. The main character looked around and froze in a stupor. He saw dead bodies on both sides of the cave, which he informed his group about. The commander says we need to keep going forward. The SWAT team went further along the dark walls of the cave, examining every corner along the way. But looking ahead, it turned out that there was a dead end ahead. Commander Wang is informed that something is wrong with this wall. Shen La took a closer look and was surprised to report that she was like a mirror. There was definitely something wrong with her. There is clearly something on the wall above. A human head is inserted into the wall. 7 Shlava. The special forces group found nothing on the wall, which made the main character doubt what he saw, and in fact, the main character concludes that only he can see the human skull on the wall. Lazi has a strange feeling ever since he stepped into this strange place. His heavenly vision, which the father of the main character tried to suppress in childhood, was rediscovered here. That is why now Shen La can see clearly without a night vision device and is also able to see all these mystical objects, like a head in a wall, from which a strange blue glow radiates. The main character notices that the glow comes from the chapters. They seem to stand out against a background of everything else. Shen La concludes that in this case, it is the eyes of the mysterious Chia that are the secret door. As soon as the main character touches the glowing eyes, a large passage opens in an instant. The commander is amazed by the intuition of the main character because he was able to solve this riddle. Commander Wang praises Shen La and asks the hero how he guessed that the key to the secret door was hidden here. But the hero is not going to reveal all the cards and only says that this is not so important now. It is only important that the special forces can move on to the goal. A large ancient Chinese building appears in front of the group, but it seems to be enchanted. A ghostly glow emanates from it, just like from that skull on the wall. No one would have thought that a secret door could lead a team to such a place. The special forces are moving on. The commander says that this is most likely an ancient burial site, but it is not so important for the IMH mission now. so the group will leave this object for archaeologists to study. Suddenly, one of the GRPPP points to the door and reports with panic that the entrance through which they entered is just closed, and this is a sign that someone is approaching the Special Forces GREP. It turned out to be the fat man's son and the dealer in illegal substances Mott. The Special Forces surrounded the criminals and ordered them not to move. Dealer Mott got down on his knees and began to beg the main character to get them out of here. He was so scared that he had already resigned himself to the fact that he would be captured by the guardians of the law. The main character asks where the rest of the criminals are now, because according to estimates, there should be 10 of them. Mott, with a distraught look and a trembling voice, says that all the others were eaten by monsters in that cell, torn to pieces. But Mott, the fat man and 2 others from their criminal squad were lucky. After all, they have fast legs. Mott says that he will explain everything in detail later. Fatty's son was very angry at the merchant. How could he even hide the forbidden powder in such a cursed place, which, as it turns out, is also inhabited by bloodthirsty monsters? Moth admits that he doesn't know where the monsters came from. The criminal says that a local Miao by the name of Lin showed him this place, and he also said that it is very secluded here. Everything fell into place. The Special Forces recognized the person Mott was talking about. It was Lao Lin, the guide of our group. He told the main character not to touch the heads of the people in the tower and the dead in the hall, otherwise it would attract evil. Mott is shocked. Did Lao Lin cooperate with criminals in Mompetsnes? The main character tells Commander Wang that Lao Lin had planned it all for sure, but the commander-in-chief does not understand why a guide from the nearest day would do all this. Shen La intimidates Mott and asks him if there is another way out of here. The merchant obediently replies that he really is here, but is in that cell with the monster. The main character tells the fat man's son that the Special Forces cannot do without his fighting qualities, so the secret agent's son should go with them. The Special Forces squad went to the cell with the corpses of criminals and monsters, where 4 dead were found, but no traces of a struggle were found on the spot. Commander Wang orders the squad to be extremely careful, although there are no monsters in sight yet. But danger is waiting out of nowhere. Monsters sitting right on top of Commander Van. Monsters are waiting for a good moment to attack the Saker squad. The Special Forces move on in combat formation, and not suspecting that the monsters are already watching. Now the moment has come. One of the insatiable monsters attacks the commander. The creature manages to wound Commander Wang in the face with its sharp fangs, but Wang is saved by the quick reaction of the main character. Shen La opens fire on the monster. The creature is wounded and it falls to the ground. The blood of a monster got on the commander's face, which corroded half of his cheek, just like acid. But the main character does not lose his vigilance and takes command. He informs the squad that things are very bad, orders the soldiers to guard Commander Wang, and Shen La with the rest of the soldiers will go to clear the way. The soldiers obey, take the wounded commander and follow the brave Shen La. The squad discovered a sudden picture. The criminal Mott is dead, right in front of the Special Forces. The monster continues to eat Mott, from which nothing remains. There are 3 more monsters in the hall. They notice new victims and break through to our heroes. The main character orders everyone to break formation and open fire on the monsters. Soldats notice that monsters do not show signs of death. Bullets are simply useless against them. The commander tells Lazzy to hit the monster in the head. The main character tells the others that they need to shoot right in the head. Lazzy aims at the monsters, but notices that one is missing. The 3rd monster attacks the main character from above. From such a surprise, Lazzy does not have time to aim at the monster's head, and it seems that the outcome will be sad. Lazzy closed his eyes in fear. He already realized his inevitable death. But suddenly the main character opens his eyes and sees the back of a tall, white-haired man in front of him. The main character does not believe his eyes what just happened. The white-haired hero takes the monster by the neck without any problems. Lazzy remembers that long white hair. A mysterious man expresses his disgust for monsters even after so many years. The man, as in that time, terrifies the monsters. He squeezes the neck of the alien and it bursts, and the head flies off to other monsters. Lazzy is surprised because the man had to touch the monster as he immediately finished off the creature. The white-haired hero stretches his fingers towards other monsters, hinting at their imminent demise. The man is straining his fingers up. A strong flame gushed out from under the ground. In a moment inhuman screams of pain were heard. It was the fire that struck one of the monsters. The main character remembers that he was told something similar. He was told about this mysterious man who destroys monsters in a minute. But for sure, the 3rd uncle Lazzy told him how he experienced something like this 20 years ago. The man notices Shen La's gaze on him and asks if the main character really recognized him. Shen La decides to lie and says that he does not know who this mysterious man is, it just seemed to him that he resembles the third uncle of Lazi. The white-haired hero decided that it would be better for him not to mess with Shen La. The man approaches the monster trembling with fear and says that he will give him a chance if the creature tells him where Samai is now. The thunderstorm of all monsters overturned a contemptuous look at the monster and told him that after death a person can be reborn again, and the monster is a living dead man, and, having died, the monster will simply turn into dust. The man was able to intimidate the monster, and he obediently pointed to a large mountain of human bones. The white-haired man says that he did not think that there would be an eye in such a high tower of bones. He sarcastically thanks the monster and hits him with his feet. The main character wonders who this white-haired man is. Who gave a helping hand. The monster leaned right into a large tower of bones from a strong kick and brought it down with a big crash. The main character concluded that the mysterious man has terrible strength. Once with one kick, he was able to destroy the entire tower of bones. The white-haired man could easily find a golden skull with fangs among hundreds of ordinary scoops, as if he belonged to a vampire. The man bit his finger until it bled and began to draw a magic circle with a mystical symbol in the middle from his blood. The squad is stunned, all the actions of the man look too frightening. The group does not understand why he drew a magic spell and what he is up to in general, besides, apparently, something difficult. The man began the ceremony. He tossed the golden skull high, took out his silver blade, and moved the painted spell into the air with the movement of his fingers. A strange glow appeared from the blade, directed upwards. The golden skull hung in the air and opened its mouth, from which something like evil spirits leaked out, making sharp loud noises. Fatty Sun covered his ears. This sound really hurts the ear. What kind of noise is this? The main character says that it's not noise at all. In fact, all these are the cries of desperate homeless souls. The commander informs the male exorcist that their squad is from special forces and they are cooperating with the D and asks the bald-haired man what is going on here in the end. Magic smoke started coming out of the man's hand. He tells the heroes that it would be better if they didn't know what was going on here, otherwise they might regret it. The commander replies that he will regret it even more if the man does not explain everything. The white-haired hero begins the story. 2,000 years ago, the ancient kingdom of Dian was located here. Every time during the wars, all prisoners of war were kept in this place. When the time came for the annual sacrifice to heaven after the autumn harvest, this is the harvest festival in China. In the middle of autumn, all prisoners were killed. First, all the blood from them was lowered into the pond, and then the head was cut off, and a tower of human heads was erected. This is all part of the sacrifice. It was here that sacrifices were made in the ancient kingdom of Dian. From time immemorial, people have longed for eternal life. In order to unravel this secret, the post of priest was created in the ancient kingdom of Dian. For the sake of gaining eternal life, they killed an infinite number of people and were ready for absolutely anything. Because of such actions, hell was inevitably waiting for the soul of the priest, so that the soul did not fall into hell and did not drink enough torment. They took on the magic of the ancient kingdom of Dian and turned themselves into the living dead. The white-haired man says that the monsters that the squad has just encountered are the very priests. The main character asks, in that case, aren't these monsters immortal? The man grinned and replied that this was nothing more than a trick contrary to the will of heaven, that's all. The existence of a living dead man has two serious flaws. The main character does not understand what else for two serious flaws. The man says that, first of all, they need to absorb the vital energy of living people, otherwise their body will turn to dust. So for many years they gave instructions to their descendants so that they would deceive people and they could suck out their life. Now everything has become clear. No wonder there are so many unpleasant souls here. Fatty Sun asks, but then what's the second thing? The man slowly approaches one of the dead monsters and says that secondly, if they die, they will never be able to reincarnate them. The white-haired man examines the golden skull. A faint sinister aura is already emanating from it, and the skull itself has lost its brilliant color, which means that all the absorbed souls have been released. The skull falls right into the man's hand, and he looked at the thing with a distraught look and said that all these 2,000 years of hatred had finally passed, and today it was time to end it all. Suddenly, the cave began to collapse. The man hid the skull in his long white cloak. A large stone falls on the fat Sun, but he manages to dodge. The whole cave will collapse soon. A man calmly walks past a group of special forces and says that if life is dear to them, it is better not to lag behind. The main character tries to stop the man, but he does not even pay attention. He strains to leave the cell. Shen La remembers that at that time Ma told him that there was a way out in the cell with monsters. Shen La orders the SWAT team to keep up and go after that man. The main character on the way to the exit examines the dead monsters and notices something strange. Grappa and the man go to the bright exit. The light blinds our heroes because they spent so much time in the dark. The heroes finally get out onto the street to some kind of sinister lake. There are bodies everywhere and large trees. There is a hole near the shore of the lake, and in the middle of the pond, there is a large tree with drooping branches. The group goes and crunches out from under their feet again and again. The remains are absolutely everywhere. No matter how they tried not to push, it still came out differently. The mysterious man says that having overcome this lake, a group of our heroes will be able to get out immediately. Fortunately, there is a boat right by the lake. The group is already glad that they will finally be able to get out of this cursed place. In the background is a slowly dying guy from Mott's criminal group who was never noticed by our heroes. A group of special forces with that man went by boat on the lake. The main character notices that the man is clearly well acquainted with this place and the monsters are afraid of him. Shen La asks the man if he has been here before, but the man only remains silent in response. The heroes are still in great danger because monsters are everywhere. They are even in the water, just like fish. The threat comes even from the depths. Disgusting bloodthirsty monsters began to get out of the water. They intend to have dinner with our heroes. One of the monsters tried to jump into the boat to the heroes. The rest went after him. The soldiers opened fire on the monsters. Compared to this lake, it was much calmer in the cell because as it turns out all the monsters were hiding right here and waiting for their victims. The main character looked at the man, watching his further actions. The white-haired man raised his hand. It began to radiate like a charge of some kind of energy. It seems as if this hero can do any elements. The man called the monsters vile and with a slight movement of his hand, caused a large flow of water and scattered all the monsters, but the insatiable monsters are so hungry that this will not stop them. They continued to attack the Saker group, only now the monsters are even more furious. They attack with renewed vigor and are not going to stop, but it seems that the real goal of the monsters is a golden skull, which now belongs to a white-haired man. Monsters jump higher out of the water to grab the golden skull. Our mysterious hero does not intend to give the thing to monsters. Apparently they are not afraid of death at all, since they dare to attack in order to steal something. Unexpectedly for the monsters and our group, a man just throws a golden skull into the monsters. A whole army of these creatures broke through to catch a golden skull. The white-haired hero finds it interesting and unusual. And again, the man makes some reckless knocks. He quickly jumped over the heads of monsters directly to the skull, which has not even managed to fall into the water yet. There is no limit to the speed of the mysterious hero. It seems he is capable of absolutely anything. One of the monsters dared to grab a white-haired man, which confused him very much. "How dare you?" he shouted to the monster. Suddenly, a huge monster comes out of the water. He is different from the others. His skin was sewn. Like the rest of the monsters, he had no eyes, but he could talk. He completely wrapped his big arm around our white-haired hero and growled for him to return his precious relic. Fatty Sun had already managed to relax because finally they got rid of all these terrible monsters, for which thanks to the white-haired man. Shen La is still on the alert. He warns the fat man not to be so secure because the water is still not calm, which means monsters live in it and our heroes are still in great danger. Suddenly it started snowing, which shocked the Special Forces squad. It's really very strange. In addition to all these events, the weather is also raging now, which is even more strange. The boat crashed sharply on the ice. Literally in a second the water froze. The situation is escalating as much as possible. Something is definitely wrong. Can all this be real? Now someone is approaching our heroes through the fog. An elderly man comes out of the fog. He is dressed in an ancient purple robe. Something like a scarf hat is on his head. A golden staff with a golden scoop is in his hand, just like the relic with which the white-haired hero performed the ceremony. Only the relic of this old man was different from the one that our heroes had seen earlier. Horns like a demon were present on his golden skull. A visible evil aura emanates from the elderly man. He tells the heroes that he warned them not to come here, but they did not listen. Well, okay, because now they will all die here. The old priest is surrounded by his monsters, waiting for orders from the chief. They are already preparing to attack the Saker squad. The main character recognizes in the old man Lin Ho, the very guide who accompanied the Special Forces squad on the way to the cave. The priest looked at our group of suicide bombers with a distraught look because he finally found new people for the sacrifice. Shen La points his weapon directly at the priest and orders him to raise his hands and not move. The priest has nothing to do with these toys, he tells the hero. Does he really think that this nonsense can stop him? It will not affect him in any way. In an instant, sharp blocks of ice sprouted right in front of the main character's face. They completely envelop our hero, placing him in an icy vacuum. Lazi was frozen, which means that the rest of the squad is unlikely to survive without such a good fighter as the main character. The squad found themselves face to face with death in the middle of a frozen lake, along with a large army of monsters and a ruthless priest. Lin Ho calls our squad pathetic non-entities. He says that after all they will become just food for monsters, and the squad can consider it a mercy of fate. Enraged and hungry monsters headed for our heroes, and it would seem that our heroes will not survive. The priest orders the monsters to finish off the Saker squad and goes home. At this time, helicopter gunships are flying somewhere in the mountains. The location moves to the head of the Folklore Study Bureau, Gao Yang. His secretary approaches him and informs the head of the Gao that their people will soon arrive at the abyss that eats people. The secretary informs that according to their available information, the target of this operation is the Reaper Lin Ho, and it seems that it will be quite difficult to cope with him. The boss says that there is no need to worry about it because he has already gone there. The priest left our heroes, leave them alone with the monsters, but suddenly something like the head of a monster falls from above directly to Lin Ho. The priest was not prepared for such a turn of fate. The monster's head falls right at the feet of the priest, which attracts his attention, but then a familiar white-haired hero, whose name is Wu Mian, approaches Lin Ho. He is the head of the 6th department of the Folklore Study Bureau. The priest recognizes our hero and is clearly not happy to see him. A real fear and irritation appears on his face. But Wu Mian immediately shows all his disgust for the priest, giving him a cold look and telling him that even over the past 2,000 years, the priest is still disgusting. The whole operation to rescue the special forces was organized by the chief Gao Yan, who did everything possible to save his comrades from the group of the department for combating prohibited substances. After all, now the Saker troop will be saved, and for Wu Mian, the priest Lin Ho will definitely not be any problem. And Shen La can only observe everything while he is imprisoned in the people.